Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by Cachefly. Cachefly.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the premier radio networks, including our newest stations in Philadelphia, Atlanta, all over the country, 177 strong, on May 19th, 2012. This is episode 875. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by ShareFile. Enhance your workflows to add files of almost any size easily and securely with ShareFile. From Citrix, try it today. A 30-day free trial, plus you'll get double storage when you use the offer code TechGuy. Visit sharefile.com, click the radio microphone, use the promo code TechGuy, and buy Stamps.com. Use Stamps.com to buy and print real U.S. postage the minute you need it, right from your desk. For my special offer, visit Stamps.com now, click the radio microphone, and use the offer code TechGuy. That's Stamps.com, offer code TechGuy. And buy Squarespace.com, the fast and easy way to create a high-quality website or blog. For a free trial and 10% off your first purchase on new accounts, go to Squarespace.com and use the offer code TechGuy5. Now they offer free domain registration with annual plan subscriptions. Well, hello there! How are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. And it's time to talk about anything with a chip in it. Computers and the internet, cell phones and camcorders, MP3 players, home theater, and all that jazz. I am a guinea pig, an official guinea pig for you. I read the manuals so you don't have to. I screw everything up so you don't have to. I tear my hair out so you can retain yours. That's my job, and I love it. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. If you have a question or you want to talk tech or 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. Outside the U.S. You can use Skype and call me. It won't cost you anything if you Skype out. 8888 Ask Leo. I always say think of two pianos because, there are 88 keys on the piano. Think of two. Of course, I guess if you didn't know there were 88 keys on the piano, this would be a useless mnemonic. Think of two pianos, ask Leo. Does that help? No, not at all. What was I thinking? Wow, it's an interesting day. We do this show. I don't know if you know this. It's maybe a kind of a secret in radio that nobody who does a radio show, a syndicated radio show anyway, and probably true for local radio too, but nobody who does a syndicated radio show does it from a studio or we have these beautiful facilities in Sherman Oaks, California, the premier radio network, and it's a ghost town, studio after studio, empty, dusty, never used, because you can do this show from anywhere you want, really. All you need is a kind of a digital phone line called ISDN, and you're set. So I do the show from the Tech Guy Labs, which is a beautiful studio that we built here in Northern California, in the wine country, in a little town called Petaluma. Now, Petaluma has a couple of claims to fame, one of which is that parts of American Graffiti were shot here. George Lucas lives just down the road in the upscale Marin County. It's just down the road a little bit. And so he filmed part of it here and part of it in Marin County. But I'll tell you, the famous scene, remember, where they sneak up behind the cop car in the middle of the night and they put a chain on its axle. It's in a used car lot waiting, right, for something to happen. And then, they call in a crime or something, and the cop car they speed by, don't they? And the cop car puts on its lights, and then, of course, it pulls the wheels right off the car. They reenact that. It's so fun. At 2 in the morning. I don't know if they did it last night or they do it tonight, but they reenact that whole thing. It used to be right in the spot where they shot it, but I guess this time it's going to be in a little bit different spot. And then American Graffiti Days are going on today. And so classic cars from the 50s all over the place. Just beautiful, perfectly restored, in many cases more than restored, upgraded, chopped and channeled, fuzzy dice and all. There's a pink lady Studebaker station wagon from 1956, I think. And it's pink. It's got those little round pink suitcases on the luggage rack on the top. It's got pink fuzzy dice, the whole thing. And then the woman who owns it is dressed, you got it, in pink with pink hair, and it's quite a scene. And so Petaluma is a little busy. This small town's a little busy, and it's just a couple of blocks from here. This whole thing is going on. 1 block, actually, from here. It's all going on. But I walked through it, and I took a lot of pictures. It was fun. I always do this every year. It's natural to take pictures, not just of the cars, but of the enthusiasts. And it reminds me of really, I think in 10, 20 years, we'll be doing this with computers. The people who upgrade, overclock, chop and channel their desktop computers are going to be kind of this small subculture of people who will continue to do it, no doubt. There already are events where people go and they bring, just like this one, where they go and they bring their souped-up PC with the lights and they got LEDs blinking, and they've got liquid nitrogen cooling and all sorts of crazy stuff. And so the analogy is pretty clear, you know. I mean, in a few years, I think all of this will seem a little anachronistic. It'll be a hobbyist thing, and we're already seeing it with things like the iPad becoming mainstream computing platforms. I mean, really, the future of computing. I don't think that's far off to think of it as that. In fact, Apple calls it the post-PC world. So as we move, and that's what we want. Nobody except the hardcore enthusiast wants to take a car, rip out the guts, chrome everything. That's for people, put in new exhaust systems. That's for enthusiasts. Hurst shifters and all that. You do that because you love doing that, not because a car needs that. And for a long time with computers, if you wanted to use a computer, you had to be that kind of person. You couldn't just go off and buy a computer. In the earliest days, you had to build the kit and spend a lot of money on things like disk drives and memory. And it got cheaper and easier, and pretty soon almost anybody could do it. There was a computer on every desk, even as long as 10 years ago, right? Certainly at work and then at home. But they're still hard to use. I mean, one of the reasons this show exists is because you need somebody to explain, to help you use it, to warn you about the bad things that can happen. Because it's still darn complicated. So I think that there really will be a move towards something that's simpler, easier, as long as it gets the things done that we want to get done. Few people want to spend all the energy trying to figure it out and use it. Those are the enthusiasts. They'll still be around, and you know what? In a few years, I'll be talking about 5 people, and we'll be going, hey, remember that Celeron that you could overclock 50%, and we got that thing up to 800 megahertz? You remember those days? Those were good days. I got it right here. I've chromed it. It's beautiful. What do you play? Tetris. Oh, it's a great game. That's who's going to be listening to this show, and the rest of you will be just getting things done. You just be using your iPads or whatever the next thing is and just getting things done. That's fine. Let Leo go and talk about his chopped and channeled dual carb Pentium 3 processor. But those of us who still care and want to hack around and learn and play, and the time has not yet come, and I know you need help, so this is the place for it. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. You can also visit the website techguylabs.com. The good news is, when I started doing this 20 years ago, in 1991, 21 years ago, it was just PCs, and it wasn't even the internet. It was just PCs. And, now technology is everywhere, thank goodness. I turned on my receiver, my AV receiver this morning because I wanted to listen to some music, and it said, well, I need a firmware update from the internet first. And I thought, this is a computer. This isn't a receiver. This isn't an appliance. I'm waiting for my toaster to ask for a firmware update. So maybe I will have a role going forward, helping you with your toasters and your AV receivers. Scott Wilkinson, our AV guy, is coming up at 33 and a half after the hour to talk home theater. We'll also take your calls at 8888 Ask Leo. And the website, did I mention that, is techguylabs.com, and it's waning days. We are so close now that the development team has finished. We've got Josh Windlish. I've hired a guy, great guy, Josh Windlish, old DJ from Holland, Michigan, has moved out here, and he's starting to help me enter all the old stuff. And he and James DeRuvo are going to, James, don't worry, you're still going to be entering the data as I talk, and then Josh will clean it up, fancy it up, and probably in the next couple of weeks we'll get that new site up. Meanwhile, it's the old one, techguylabs.com. Look at it. Look upon my work, so ye mighty. That is the good old days right there. I'm saving that website. Someday I'll be able to take that to the computer fair. Look, this is in the days when you did your own website. The Google didn't do it for you. Actually, you know, as time goes by, and we're going to talk about the Facebook IPO, but as time goes by, even companies start to look a little old-fashioned, right? Maybe even Google. 8888 Ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Your call's next. Yeah, the Maker Fair's going on. I should have mentioned that because that is those guys, right? Is my mic all messed up? What do you mean, U.S. or it is the hottest topic in business today, and I have to say it is what I recommend. USA NEMA, your business to the cloud. It's what we did with Google Apps. You got stock, huh? What'd you buy it at, Species? Are you underwater already? I'm a bit boomy today. You know, let me. This, you know, I think this mic's broken. All of it. I really do. Branding, so it looks like it's your business process right there, running on one of the most reliable communication platforms ever. But what about training? What about support? What about migration? And that's where it comes down to Verticore. Verticore, a Google Premier partner, one of the best in the country. In fact, they do this worldwide. They move people to the cloud with Google Apps. And I got to tell you, there's free activation, setup, and support for just $3.95 a month. You call them now and get some help. 888-5-SERVER. You'll be amazed how easy this is, and you'll be so glad you did. 888-5-SERVER. Visit them online, VIRTACORE.com. Verticore. Do you have a busy life? Sure you do. Do you have time to get up from the desk and go to the post office? Probably not. Certainly not if your life's like mine. That's why I use Stamps.com, and I have for years. Stamps.com. With Stamps.com, I can buy and print official U.S. postage right from your computer and printer. You don't need a special ink. You don't need a postage meter. You just need Stamps.com. It's so easy and convenient. And you get the digital. Set up, be ready at 12:15. You can test exactly the right postage. All right, that should be better. How's that? And you print that postage right onto. How the heck is that? Is that better? It was a little. It was a muff. It wasn't boomy. It was muddy. Schedule free pickups. Muddy. Fortunately, I have many Heil PR40s like. With Stamps.com. 25. I want you to try a special no-risk trial offer. This is a good deal. It's a 110 bonus offer, including the digital scale. You didn't tell me the music sounded that way, too. Before you do anything else, go to Stamps.com. Oh, my goodness. Hey, let me talk a little bit about ShareFile. Actually, we were talking. It would be a good time to mention it. It'd be a good time to mention it. ShareFile.com. Because, you know, we all are sharing big files. This is, they wanted the ad. Kyle wanted the ad before the show began. And unfortunately, we've been using kind of a consumer-grade product, Dropbox. And it has some real disadvantages. First of all, mainly, you lose control. It's not secure. I'm gonna move. I've already moved KFI, and I'm gonna move Premiere over to ShareFile. This is the. I don't know why I didn't do this before. ShareFile.com. It's from Citrix, so it's designed for business from the ground up. If you are emailing large documents, and we all are these days, this is a much better way to do it. It's not email. So you can send large or confidential documents and presentations. They get to the client immediately. There's no bounce backs. There's no security issues, and you control it. They can't do what these guys did, delete the file and have to restore it. ShareFile, it's a powerful tool. It helps your business run smoothly. Send files of almost any size. Collaborate on files securely, completely under your control. And right now, I have a special 30-day trial offer. Go to ShareFile.com and see that Listeners Click Here button. Listeners Click Here and use the offer code TechGuy, TECHGUY. Select an industry because they have ShareFiles customized for all kinds of industries. Then click Continue. And you can try it free. They have a number of different plans. And no matter what plan you choose for the 30-day free trial, you'll get double storage. That's nice. So if you're sending really massive files, you could do this. Sharefile.com. 99% of Fortune 500 companies now are Sharefile users. 99. That's because this is for business. If you're sharing files, you want to access documents anywhere, including on iOS and Android. If you want to eliminate bounce backs, sharefile.com. It's Tetris! Alexei Pajitnov. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I'm trying to remember when that was. Tetris was big in the 80s, I think, right? It was on the earliest PCs in the 80s because it didn't take much. And you still can play Tetris today, and it was on every game console. Written by a Russian fella, computer scientist. It was still in the Soviet Union. That's how old we know it was. It was still the Soviet Union. I remember I interviewed him, and he wrote it and was paid by an American company. He wrote it for fun. Was paid by the American company. I think it was Electronic Arts that ended up distributing it. Not in dollars, not in the rubles. He said, "I just want PC. I just want modern PC, please." Now, that's like being asked to be paid in cake. It doesn't. I mean, that PC a year later was, I think it was like an IBM PC AT, as I remember, that he wanted an AT. Ooh, 10 megahertz, really fast computer. And of course, Electronic Arts probably made, $800 million. 8888 ask Leo. We will talk about the Facebook IPO because I think something happened yesterday that was pretty important. But let's get to your calls first. Starting with Mike in San Diego, California. Hi, Mike. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I am well, thank you.
I have a quick question. I have a PC that had a hard drive failure, and it was not backed up. And I've got an iPod with about 5,000 songs on it. I'd like for a recommendation on a software program to restore the 5,000 songs to my iTunes.
Thank goodness you had an iPod, right?
Yeah.
That was your backup, really.
And not only that, it took me forever. Those 5,000 songs are mostly from my CD collection.
So you
forever to do it.
You ripped them. Yeah. Yep. Now, for future reference, I would suggest either backing up or, frankly, I think people no longer need to back up music because there are a number of ways to back up your music for free in the cloud, including Google. And, of course, if you're using an iPod, iTunes Match, which is not free, it's $25, but it has some other advantages. So I'll talk about that in just a little bit. But first, what you need, Apple doesn't let you do this. I think it was a deal they made with the record industry because if you think about it, a 160-gig iPod is the ultimate piracy device. You could copy music onto it, bring it to your friend. They could copy it off. So as you probably notice, when you attach an iPod to a computer that the iPod hasn't been synced with before, it says, "Do you want me to erase all the music and start over?" No, please. It's my only copy. So you need to get a program. There are plenty of programs that do it because even though Apple didn't make it possible easily, it's not that hard. In fact, it's actually pretty easy. One I like is called SharePod.
Okay.
GetSharePod.com. It's free. Okay. And what it'll do is it'll see all the music, and you can say copy it all. It'll copy playlists. It'll even copy album art, which is not as easy as one might think.
Okay. Perfect.
So that is how to start. But at some point, I think you probably want to make a copy of this on the cloud, so you don't have to ever do this again. Yeah.
I agree.
So generally what I say for people, and this you might think about this, you probably ripped these when you ripped them if you've been ripping them for a long time at 128 kilobit MP3, right? That was fine. If you pay $25, and you don't have to pay it every year, just once, for iTunes Match, iTunes will go through all that music, match it. You won't have to upload it. It will match it to copies in the cloud that are 256 kilobit AAC. They're much, much higher quality with no copy protection. Even if you bought them from iTunes, it removes the copy protection. You can then re-download all that music.
Right.
And that's what I did. And what that does is it strips out copy protection from stuff you bought from iTunes, and it upgrades anything. Now, if you have recorded something in a very low quality, I can't remember what the cutoff is, but something like 92 kilobits, 96 kilobits, something like that. It won't make a copy of it. It won't do anything with it. No problem. What you do is you re-encode it at 128 kilobits. Now, that's not going to sound so good, but it doesn't matter because it fools iTunes. And then it gives you a 256 kilobit AAC. There's a series of articles, and I'll put a link in the show notes at Tech Guy Labs. At Macworld Magazine, my friend Jason Snell and his team wrote a great series of articles on how to use iTunes Match. And one of the things Jason wrote about is how to take your existing iTunes, replace it, all the songs in your existing iTunes, and replace it with those high-quality iTunes Match products. Just to make it clear, you do pay $25 for this feature. And if you want to continue to stream from the cloud, you have to continue to pay $25. But if you just download them, you pay it once and only once. It's kind of like a little bit of a license fee in a way. I think much of it goes to the music industry. Like, well, we know these are because it will replace and fix pirated music as well. If you had a big collection from Napster that you downloaded in the day, it'll fix that too. And then now you have, legal copies. You should know that as part of this process, and this is one of the reasons the record industry went for this, Apple puts your email address into that song. It's embedded in the song. That way, if you decided that you want to have all your friends around the world have a copy of this song, Apple would know who did it, and so would the music industry. So I think this is a very nice feature. Now, Google also has, if you go to music.google.com, they have a somewhat different feature. They didn't make a deal with the music industry. They merely said, look, well, you can use this as a locker for up to 25,000 songs. You download a little client, and Google Music will upload all of your songs to Google, and it'll store them there. You can download them at any time. Good for 10 devices. So I no longer back up my music using Carbonite or any other way. I just figure I got iTunes Match and Google. I do both. So if you want to really you got a weekend, you want to really spend some time getting your music in good shape, do this. If you're on iTunes, buy iTunes Match. Let it match every song, and that may take several days. It might take longer if you have a big library. 5,000 songs shouldn't take that long. I had 20-something thousand. Match them all. Then, and this is the scary part, take your music library or media library from iTunes and move it. Actually, I would just copy it to an external drive and then delete it on the main drive. Now, you still have a copy, you haven't deleted it, so you're not completely out of luck, but you've deleted everything in your library. You kind of said it's empty. Now, if you open iTunes at that point, it will still have all those things, but they'll have little cloud icons next to them that says, I have it, but it's in the cloud. You should not delete songs that it did not move to the cloud. And that may, if it doesn't know a song, if it doesn't have the song, it will upload it. So some of those may just be uploaded. You only need to delete the ones that matched. Then say, download those all again. Now, that's going to take a little while and a lot of bandwidth. But fortunately, music isn't that fat. And you will now have replaced all the junky rips, the iffy rips, the copy-protected music, whatever you've had in your library. It'll replace all of that with unprotected, high quality. I mean, 256 kilobit AAC is not CD quality, but pretty good. Pretty good. Better than most of us have. Now you have a great clean library. Delete any duplicates if you want to do that. iTunes makes it clear that they're duplicates, and I think it adds it to the name as I remember. And then go to Google Music, sign up for that. That's free. And upload your music there. Now you have a copy in the cloud at Apple and at Google. You should be okay. That's the ultimate backup. You want to talk home theater? Good. Scott Wilkinson's coming up in just a little bit, our home theater guru from Home Theater Magazine. More of your calls, too. I am Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, as always at this time, half past the hour, in the first hour of the first show of the weekend. How do you like how I fixed that up? We talked to our home theater guru, Mr. Scott Wilkinson is here. By the way, next hour we're going to go to Dayton, Ohio for the Hamvention, the big annual gathering of the amateur radio enthusiasts. Talk about car show.
Cool.
These are the same guys.
Right, the same guys, although they hot rod their radios.
Their radios,
their cars,
exactly.
Yeah.
And I love enthusiasts. You know, that if there's one thing that I think that kind of is the trademark of what I do, and especially with our podcasts, is it's just merely what a geek is somebody who has an enthusiasm. And they're not afraid, not shy about showing it, about getting into it, about being devoted, whether it's, comic books, cars, stereos, any of that stuff. It's all the same.
Yep, exactly
In fact,
right.
that's why you call your show Home Theater Geeks. It's Home Theater Geeks.
It's about home theater geeks, and it's by and for home theater geeks.
Yeah.
We do get kind of geeky sometimes, but most people write me and they say, yeah, that's great.
I think it's the way to go now. I do. Because I think most people are just going to have iPads and not worry about it. They're going to listen to the music on the iPod and they're not going to worry about it. So that's fine. That's normal.
Sure.
I want to do shows for abnormal people. No, seriously, that's normal. I'm not saying that's just normal. But if you have a particular passion for home theater, that's the people I want to get. That's who I'm interested in. I'm sure you too, because you share that passion.
That's right. And the geeks also, as you know, love to share their passion with other people.
Oh, yeah.
They love to talk about it.
That's the problem. There's the problem. Therein lies the problem.
Therein lies there's the rub.
So we were talking off the air because I've been building a budget projection system because you spend $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 for a high-end home theater with a projector and all that stuff.
Right.
That's just a projector in some cases.
But
I'm doing it on the cheap, and I'm trying to get it kind of similarly priced to what a home theater would cost with a flat screen TV.
Right.
And it's pretty close. I've got the screen. We got the screen from monoprice.com for $600, 120 inches.
Now you're never going to get a 120-inch flat panel for anywhere near what you're spending.
Well, that's the other advantage. It's gigantic.
Right.
In fact, frankly, I feel like I'm in a drive-in movie when I watch TV. I wish some girl would come by and roller skates with French fries. That's all I need.
Right. Right, exactly. I remember you last week. You said, I need to get one of those little hang-on-the-car window speakers.
Well, I didn't. I got something a little fan. I went to – there's a little company in Tennessee called Emotiva.
Great.
And I read a review on hometheater.com that's by one of your colleagues that said it was a really nice, inexpensive system.
Yeah, speaker system. They also make electronics.
They do, and I got an even cheaper Onkyo amp, which I've been very happy with. $400, I think, street. But it has boy, it's amazing. That's the one that rebooted this morning and wanted to firmware update. But it does Spotify and Pandora radio and stuff, and so I have now a good stereo for the home theater that I listen to music on as well.
Yep.
So I got a center channel, which I've never had before in my life.
And do you find that helps with the dialogue?
Well, I think I need to calibrate it because it seems to, like, almost everything feels like it's coming through the center channel. I don't see much in the left and right is like background noise. It's like cocktail party.
Have you run the?
No, I got to do the Odyssey. Yeah, I got to do the Odyssey. So it comes with a little microphone you put where you sit on a wire, and then you run this setup, and it listens.
Yes.
And then it says, "Oh no, I can fix that." So and then I'm going to put this
for the room acoustics.
Room acoustics and Leo's bad ears. I don't know, whatever it does. And then I'm going to do the left and right surround, which is not in fact behind me, which I always thought it was, but it's not, just kind of more like where your left and right ears are, only out.
It's to the sides. There's some latitude as to where you can place them. And depending on the type of speaker, usually they're a little behind you, but I think you said you're like lying in bed watching this thing.
Yeah, so they're right to my left. So where my head is lying, they're kind of left and right of my slightly behind a little left and right of my ears. That's where it should be.
That's good. That's exactly where they need to be.
Yeah. So it sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, and then I got an inexpensive projector. The projectors have gotten much more affordable. This is a sub $1,000 projector from Epson. The Cinema Light or something like that, 6100. Very nice.
Yep.
Very nice. So I'm happy. It's good for the NBA playoffs.
It's going to be great for the Olympics.
That's what I'm getting ready. I'm getting ready for the Olympics.
Yeah.
That's what I want. And mostly I watch movies, frankly, and so that's what it's
Do you watch movies mostly streamed or on Blu-ray?
Well, I have the PS3 hooked up to it, so I can watch Blu-rays.
Yeah, good.
But mostly, you're right. I do watch streamed to Apple TV or Netflix. That's convenient.
It's very convenient.
We'll see how it looks on
a lot of Netflix.
Yeah.
How does it look on 120
inch
screen?
I haven't set it up yet, so I'll let you know.
I look forward to hearing about that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The screen is the last piece of the puzzle. Now, the other thing I did, which is kind of wacky, and I don't know how good this is going to be. I didn't want to run wires to the surround speakers.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a wireless transmitter and receiver.
Uh-huh.
We'll see how that works. It's at 5.4 gigahertz. It's kind of interesting. It's not Wi-Fi. So,
right, exactly.
Yeah.
And probably most of your wireless stuff in your house is 2.4 gigahertz.
Right. It won't interfere with that.
So it won't interfere with it, which is great.
Right. It was, I read all the reviews on Amazon, and people had trouble with some of them, and so I got the one that people seem to say, oh, no, this works pretty well. Nothing's perfect. Actually, you know what? I should look up the let me go look at my orders, because I can't even remember the name of something. I think it was Amphony.
I was going to say, what company did you get it from?
Amphony? Let me see. Yeah, Amphony. And it was 83
I've heard
bucks.
Of them. $83. Hey, I think you're doing a fabulous thing here. You're trying to put together a nice performing home theater system, projection based, without spending an arm and a leg. And I'm doing much the same thing on my reviews lately on hometheater.com. I'm looking at less expensive products to see if I can find some that really do perform well and many more people could afford than the really high-end stuff that we often do.
That's exactly it. And, for instance, I could get more expensive speakers. These Emotivas are, I would say, affordable, relatively affordable. They may seem, some people may choke at the price. I think the 3-speaker system was maybe $1,000, something like that. But that's for a high-end system. That's not so expensive.
No, not at all. I mean, you can spend tens of thousands.
I was
of
looking at much more expensive speakers.
Yeah,
so.
you were looking at those B&Ws, which are very nice.
It's $550. Now, so listen to this. This actually was less than I thought. $559 for the left and right speakers, the XRT 5.2s. They make a higher end one, but I just got the less expensive one because this is what your reviewer on Home Theater recommended.
That's
and
exactly
then
right.
I got, as I said, my very first center channel, and that was $279. And they sound good. It's the best sounding stereo I've ever had.
Yeah.
So for an old man with bad ears, I think it's okay. Now I have a question.
Yes.
These can be bi-amped.
Yes, they can.
What the hell? Sorry. What the heck is that?
Bi-amping is when you use separate amplifier channels to drive the low-end driver and the high-end driver. You don't need to do it.
The Onkyo supports it, and the speakers support it. But you say I shouldn't do it?
There's no reason to. There's really no reason.
It's one of those magic ear things?
It is. Yeah, it's a golden ear thing. It requires some setup that you probably don't want to deal with. The crossover then is in the receiver rather than in the speaker.
Well, and then Odyssey will handle all of that. So
you might try it and see if it makes a difference in the sound quality. I'm not convinced it makes a big difference in the sound quality, except if you have like really super high-end speakers where it might make some difference.
Well, believe me, I'm not that. This is if you saw what I was listening to before, this is so much better.
So
hang in there, Scott. 1 minute. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, Scott Wilkinson from hometheater.com. We'll be right back. And then I'm using the sub from I bought Orb Audio speaker system, and I never, for years I've talked about eSets Nod 32. I never used it.
Well, you have the orbs there in the studio.
Yeah, I bought them for the studio, and you see them. Yeah. And I bought the sub. I bought like their massive sub, and I never use it. So I brought that home.
You took it home.
Yeah, what the hell? What am I going to do with a sub here, right?
Oh, yeah, you're exactly right.
It makes no sense. I don't even know how good this system is. I mean, I read good reviews. That's why I bought it, and it sounded okay. But it's a decent subwoofer, and it's a pretty hefty subwoofer. It's the Uber 10. So it was $700 subwoofer. It's powered, 300-watt powered.
Mm-hmm. I think you're totally fine with that. Yeah,
it has a front-facing sub. The other one is a downward-firing sub.
Right. Now that's the downward-firing sub. I prefer the front-firing. I'd rather have the sound come straight into the room. I actually do too, especially since I have concrete floors. I think there's no advantage to having the speaker point down. Maybe if I had resonating floors. Except if you wanted to hide it. Like behind a couch or something.
Right. No, this is aimed straight at me.
There you go. It's not like bass frequencies are directional, though. It's not.
No,
like
I understand. They're slightly directional. I mean, you can kind of tell that there's a coming from over there.
But for
the most part, not. And so, yeah, and I actually like the sound that's coming. And this is very nice. In fact, I have to kind of turn it down because I can really make the room rumble.
Well, you know how much I say that you need to have matching speakers around you in the main channels, but that doesn't apply to the sub.
Right.
The sub, you can have something else and it's fine.
Well, I might buy Emotiva back speakers, but I have those audio engines right now. They're my kind of my radio, and it wouldn't be. It's not so hard, and they're powered, so that works with the wireless thing. So I was thinking maybe I'll just try.
Oh, well, that's true. That's true.
I need powered
wireless.
Ones. Yeah.
You need powered speakers to work with the wireless.
Right, because obviously
system.
no amp power comes through this amphony.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you know what? It's not ideal, but
I'm not golden ears. I have them.
You have them?
They're good speakers, and I think it's just for the surround. It's not going to.
Sure.
There are there are cheaper wireless systems, but this one it's a 5.8 gigahertz. They say the quality's good. It doesn't interfere on the 2.4.
Right.
So.
I can't wait to hear what you think of it.
Well, it's just a question. Now what I have to do is I have to get somebody to come over and help me hang this screen.
Oh, the screen is still on a stand?
It's not on anything. I have.
You haven't set it up yet?
But I have. My apartment's a loft apartment with beams, so I'm going to get guy wires, and just hang the screen like that, so I don't have to put it into the wall.
That's pretty good. Does the screen frame have like eyes to hang it like that?
I haven't looked yet. I would hope so.
I would hope so too. It might have wall hanging hardware, but that would be to put it on a wall rather than hang it.
Well, I'll see. I guess I could put it on the wall. If I can hang it, I can move it forward a little bit, and I can either have a paint because it's 120. It's 10 feet.
Huge.
So I can put a painting there, or a quilt like you do. Lisa says, just leave your old 55-inch and have the screen come in front of it.
Oh, it's a motorized screen. That's right.
Yeah.
A lot of people do that, actually. A lot of people do that. They watch their smaller plasma, except when it's movie night and it's dark, and then they bring down the big screen.
Maybe I'll do it.
That's very
Talk
common.
about overkill. No, yes, I have a 55-inch and a 120-inch in a one-room apartment. All right, here we go.
All right.
Leo, your live read is Carbonite.
Thank you, sir.
Give it 10 seconds.
Broken glass, broken hungry, broken hearts and broken bones. This is where we used to live.
Here we go.
Why did you paint the wall?
Because I wanted to put screen goo on it.
Why did you clean the floor?
Well, it was a little messy after you left. I had to.
Why did you plaster over the hole I punched in the door?
What, you wanted me to leave that? Bare Naked Ladies, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I love this song. There's a tech angle with this song. When Windows XP shipped, it shipped with, I think it was XP. Could have been Millennium. How old is this song? It shipped with a video of that song. And that's how I discovered Bare Naked Ladies, because it came on my hard drive from Microsoft. Thank you. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number if you want to talk tech. We're still talking to Scott Wilkinson, our home theater guy. His podcast, Home Theater Geeks, is every Monday, 1:30 Pacific, 4:30 Eastern on the web at TWiT.tv. That's where you can watch it. If you want to watch it live, but you can also get it after the fact at TWiT.tv/HTG. Who's your guest on Monday?
Monday is Andrew Jones, the speaker designer at Pioneer, who made the incredible Pioneer 41 and 21 speakers, which are an amazing, as the reviewer said, a jaw-dropping value. They sound so good, and a 5.1 system of the is like $600.
Now you're making me kick myself.
No. Your Emotivas are great. I have no problem with those whatsoever.
What's the name of these? The Pioneer what?
The Pioneer SP. I'll look it up for you here in a second. SP 21. I'm
21. Yeah, there it is. BS.
Yes. 21 BS.
Yeah.
That's right.
Because that's the entire 5.1 system.
Exactly.
Yeah.
PK21BS is the entire 5.1 system.
Wow.
And for $600 or $500, whatever it is, it's pretty amazing. We were talking earlier about how, prices for these home theater products have been coming down, and that's the primary example that I point out to people that, you don't have to spend an arm and a leg. You're not spending an arm and a leg either. You decided to go a little bit higher end than that, but still. Now, Andrew Jones also designs speakers for TAD, which is Pioneer's super high-end line. And those are, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a pair speakers.
Wow.
So he doesn't only go for the low end. He also designs these very high-end stuff. He came from Kef.
I wonder why speakers would be so expensive. It sounds to me a little bit like smoke and mirrors. I mean, really.
No.
They're wood enclosures. They're paper cones. Come on.
No. Actually, he and I are going to talk about this. I talked with him a little offline to sort of test his Skype and so on. And he said, and one of the things he is going to talk about is that, he wants to go beyond what he calls box stuffers. It's companies that just take a box, throw some drivers into it, call it a speaker. No, there's some real engineering and some real acoustics and some real physics involved in getting high performance out of a speaker. And now, speakers have been around for 100 years or more, and they haven't changed that much. We've seen changes a little bit in technology. We've seen ribbon tweeters, although they've been around for a long time. Concentric drivers, which Tannoy uses and some other companies. But essentially, the technology hasn't really changed all that much in 100 years. What is becoming more well understood is the physics of how do you combine multiple drivers into a box without adding coloration? Because there's going to be resonance in that box, at certain frequencies. So how do you design that box so that those resonances are minimized and what you hear coming out of the speaker is an accurate and true representation of what went in?
Very
so
interesting
it's not a trivial question. And we're going to be talking about that on Monday with Andrew, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Scott Wilkinson, hometheater.com. What's your poll this week?
My poll this week is, have you wall-mounted your flat panel? I've got a lot
Sarah
of people...
Lane, who works for us, just did, and she says she wished she'd done it ages ago. It's one of those things that's kind of expensive. She brought somebody in to do it. If you're handy, I guess you could do it yourself. But
yeah, but you have to make sure you do it very securely because those things are not light.
And she's very happy. She's very
fantastic.
Happy. Yeah,
that's great. The question arose out of the fact that the guy who's reviewing a bunch of sound bars for me asked me, Do people wall mount their flat panels? Because then they would want to wall mount their sound bar.
Sure, you would.
And
in fact, that's an argument for a sound bar. Because then you have a nice, clean, compact installation.
Exactly, such as the photo that those who are watching the video can see.
Right.
And so I said, well, I don't really know. So I asked that as my poll question. And
I guess if I'm hanging a 120-inch screen, I guess I am wall mounting. It's not a flat panel, but
it's a protection screen, so it's very lightweight.
Yeah.
Compared to a flat panel.
Yeah, no, it's a lot easier to mount that than to put my flat panel's just standing on a stand. So let me vote. But everybody should vote and let us know. And I'm, by the way, in the majority here. Most people do that.
That it's not. Yeah, the majority is not wall mounted, but sitting on a stand. You attach the stand that came with the TV. You put it on a platform of some sort,
right.
and that's where you're watching it.
Yeah.
Because wall mounting a flat panel is not a trivial thing. I myself wouldn't attempt to do it. I would hire somebody to do it because I want to make sure that it's well anchored into the studs in the wall and so on and so forth. Of course, I live in earthquake country too, so I'd want to be really careful. But yeah, it's not a trivial thing. You can't just drill a hole in the wall and put a 100-pound thing up there or a 50-pound thing up there. But
and you have to do the cords, right? So often people are going to drill into the wall and drop the cords inside. And I would get a pro to do it, unless you're really handy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Unless you don't mind having cords dangling down, and then what's the point?
What's the point? Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. Sarah has a nice installation, I hear. I've seen pictures of it. She won't let me in her house, but that's another story. Scott Wilkinson, home theater geek at hometheater.com, online editor there, and you can find out more at his podcast, twit.tv/HTG. We'll talk to you next week, Scott. Thanks so much.
You bet.
To Atlanta we go. Brian on the line. Hi, Brian. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo.
Thanks for calling.
Great to talk to you.
Great to talk to you.
Yeah, I'm a really big fan. I like Tech News Today and Frame Rate especially.
Those are the podcasts we do on TWiT. You're a Tom Merritt fan, it sounds like.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, he's the greatest.
But I'm also a cord cutter, and I started a website based around that.
Oh, what's the site?
It's called cablegobybye.com.
I like it. Now we got to get you on Frame Rate. That's our show for cord cutters. That's great. Exploring alternatives to cable and satellite TV. What a great idea. Yeah.
Right,
So you want to
here.
embed videos on here? Is that what you want to do?
Yes, sir. And I have a few on there right now. One, for example, is a Techzilla video that is a review of a Roku box. And so I have affiliate links on here so that, I get a few bucks.
And you get those from YouTube?
Right. And I have them embedded, and I want to know...
Absolutely fine, and I'll tell you why. As you know, when you go to a YouTube video, you have a share link that lets you, with embed codes, so that you can embed it on your site. If the content owner doesn't want you to do that, they have the way to turn that off. So by leaving it on, they're allowing you.
All right.
And I think that really Revision 3 does not mind because, after all, it's promoting their stuff. But they can, as a company, they can turn that off. So, it's my impression that if they haven't turned off embedding, to me that's tacitly admitting that it's okay. Is the Roku stick coming soon? Oh, I'm excited about that. I am excited about that because my Onkyo has an MHL HDMI port. We'll talk about that on the show next. That's really interesting.
Laser ink. And speaking of color laser printers, not only is the ink better, but
so if I decided I didn't want anybody to embed, and you've seen this once in a while, you'll go to a site and you'll click a link and it'll say the content provider has blocked embedding. I don't know why you do that, because all you do is then go to YouTube and watch it. So if you're putting it on YouTube, you're effectively saying anybody can get this.
Built to perform.
That's what you're saying. So it almost seems silly to say, oh, well, you can watch it, but only on YouTube. Yeah, if the copyright owner has uploaded the video to a video sharing site, says J.C. Calhoun, I think it's safe to assume they want to share their video.
Tuned to Premier Channel 7.
Okay, that's an interesting. David Bix says, well, what if it's a pirated video? Well, don't do that, just to be safe. Who's liable in that case? I don't know. I don't think the courts have ruled on that one. That's an interesting one. I don't know. Padre SJ, we had the transition from Eileen to Chad, and I don't know if we have it lined up or not yet. We have Scoble. I wanted to do Chad. I said, Chad, let's focus on Facebook. So Nick Bilton's not available. I asked Doc Searles, he's not available. So far we only have Scoble. We need some ideas. Any suggestions? Robert, you can come up. You want to talk about Facebook? I'm not going to have Kevin on until he calls me and says I can talk now.
Laporte, the tech guy, will begin at 6 minutes past the hour. From Premier Radio.
We asked for Alexia, and we haven't heard back. I'm waiting for Alexia. Hey, before we go on, let me talk a little bit about the best web hosting. People often say to me, what's the best? I want a website. What's the best web hosting? And I'm going to recommend something that's a little more than just web hosting. I'm going to recommend Squarespace.com. It's web hosting with the best content management system on there. And I really, really like this. So first of all, it's the best hosting out there. I mean, it just really is. It's more secure because it's only running the Squarespace software. They keep it up to date. They manage it. They maintain it. It's fully managed. So security is absolutely fantastic. You don't have to worry about getting hacked. They always apply all the updates automatically. They're responsible for that. It's also good hosting because you never run out of bandwidth. It's remarkable. And the price for the hosting plus the software, I don't think we talk about this enough. There's two plans now. They simplify this. There's a standard plan, $8 a month when you buy a year package. The unlimited plan, $16 a month when you buy a year package. But look what you get. For $16 a month, unlimited pages, unlimited bandwidth. Unlimited bandwidth. unlimited storage, and then lots of other stuff, including they will register a domain name for you, so you can, that makes it easy. It's whatever it is, $10, but the thing is that they're doing it for you, and they hook it up so that when you go to that domain, your Squarespace site pops up, and that's really nice. Dick uses it for gizwiz.biz. So Squarespace is just fantastic. Highly recommend it. Click the Try It Free button, and you can see how all the software works. It is the easiest to use, most beautiful stuff. Great stats. They've got iOS and Android apps for posting and moderating. They support the Google fonts, 300-plus fonts that are gorgeous. And the price is amazing. I really think Squarespace has done this right. So here's the deal. Go to Squarespace. During the month of May, they've got 2 extra things you get when you go to squarespace.com. As I said, free domain registration when you buy an annual plan, and that's including a hassle-free setup. So you're saving about $15, and they get it all hooked up, wired up for you. Plus, you can take an additional 10% off when you use the Tech Guy offer code. So the offer code is TechGuy5. So the best deal would be something like the $16 a month annual plan. You get 10% off of that, plus free domain hosting. Name registration. Hosting's included, of course. Squarespace is an amazing deal. Squarespace.com. You got to give it a try. Well, a good day to you. Leo Laporte here. The Tech Guy, 8888 Ask Leo. Time to talk computers and the internet, cell phones and camcorders, MP3 players, home theater, and all that jazz. At 8888 Ask Leo. Well, if you watched the financial channels yesterday, it was like the Super Bowl. I got up early yesterday, about 6:30 in the morning Pacific time, so that I could, actually earlier than that, 5:30, so that I could watch the coverage on CNBC of the biggest tech initial public offering ever, Facebook. They went public, and boy, was it an event. They offered stock for the first time ever to the public on the NASDAQ, the over-the-counter stock exchange. Raised close to $100 billion, much of which goes to Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook. He's now worth roughly $19 billion. Whoa. Now, he didn't take that money off the table. He got, according to CNN Money, he got a $1.5 billion just like cash up front, but still has another $19 billion worth of shares that he's holding on to. This is based on a $38 price, which is, I think, what they ended up going out as. Others at Facebook made considerable amounts of money, including the investors. Peter Thiel, who very famously, if you watch the movie The Social Network, put $500,000 into Facebook. He was the first investor. That was a good investment. Peter Thiel made $848 million and has another $852 million of shares remaining. If the stock continues to go up, it could be worth a lot more. But he's cashed out already. Mark Pincus, there's an interesting name. This is the guy at Zynga, the folks who do Farmville. Apparently, he has a fairly large stake. He made $4 million with $158 million in shares left over. Sean Parker, you remember him from the movie? He was the guy who started Napster and came in early at Facebook to help guide the company. $38 million with another $2.27 billion remaining. Reid Hoffman. Now, that's the guy who founded LinkedIn. I guess he threw it. What was going on at Facebook before they went public is that people with inside access, they got a little, here's something for you. Thank you. Reid Hoffman's something worth $412 million. Yeah. Total stake about $500 million. And the investors, the VCs, the venture capitalists, they all made money. The biggest was Excel Partners. They made $2 billion. They have another $4.72 billion in the bank. Goldman Sachs, $1.25 billion, with another $1.25 billion remaining. That just almost covers their trading losses. Greylock, $332 million, with another $1 billion in the bank. It's amazing. It's amazing. You know, I'm happy for Elevation Partners. That's Bono's company. Bono Bono works with a guy named Roger McNamee, who's a very savvy investor. Unfortunately, Roger talked him into buying Palm right before, and I'm sure they lost. They lost everything, whatever they had invested, probably $100 million or more on Palm. But they're fine now because they've made another $332 million on the Facebook, and that's kind of what it is with venture capitalists. It's kind of a hit or miss, and when you miss, you miss. When you hit, if you're lucky. You know who made a lot of money on Facebook? Get ready for this. Microsoft. Microsoft made $287 million yesterday, and they have another $1 billion worth of Facebook stock in the bank. Did you know Microsoft they have a fairly hefty stake in Facebook. It's kind of amazing. You know who didn't make money on Facebook? Anybody who bought the stock on the market. Because Facebook started at $38. Actually, before you could even buy a share, well, $38 was the institutional price. Before you could even buy a share, I think it was up to $42. It closed the end of the day exactly as it opened at $38. There was a fun site that was very hot around Silicon Valley last week called Facebook IPO Day Closing Price.com. That's a long name. Facebook IPO Day Closing Price.com, where people bet on what they thought the closing price of Facebook would be. Now, remember how the stock market works. It starts at a price set by the company and then goes up or down depending on demand. And I think everybody thought, well, they'll start at $38. That was the price the company set. But there'll be a lot of demand because everybody all the kids who use Facebook will just say, well, I like it. It must be a good stock. Now, professional investors cautioned that, well, it may be a good company and a good stock. The fundamentals may be good. The future may be bright for Facebook, and it may not be. There's pros and cons. But they're asking such a high price for their stock that it values them bigger than Citigroup. It makes them a much bigger company, and very difficult for them to get to that point. They'd have to have huge success, huge, much bigger than they have right now, even to get to par with what they're asking. And I think a lot of the people, a lot of kind of less sophisticated investors, or it was feared, a lot of less sophisticated investors would just say, well, I just want to buy some because it's Facebook. How could Facebook lose? It's more complicated than that, right? The price is high. That's why. And I think a lot of the market was afraid of this. They call it retail sales over the transom sales. People just coming in off the street, going to their broker saying, I got to have some of that Facebook. Well, they were wrong. The market actually was pretty rational on the whole thing. And Facebook ended up closing at the same price it started as. So all those people on that site, the average share price predicted by them was $54. Oh, boy. Valuing Facebook at $135 billion didn't happen. Didn't happen. It went back down to $38. And, I think it's probably the case that it's going to be a while before you see that price go up. It might even go down quite a bit. So a lot of people made money. But if you bought Facebook at its peak, it went up as high during that day as $45. If you spent $45, you lost money yesterday. I bet most of the people who bought stock on the open market yesterday lost money. People look at Apple, $600, Google, $600. They say, well, Facebook's got to go to $600. It's more complicated than that. When you're at a price-to-earnings ratio of 122, your price is 122 times your earnings. It's hard to justify that price. And yet, I am bullish on the fundamentals of Facebook. I think it's a good company. I think Mark Zuckerberg's a genius. And I think they've only just begun to figure out how to make money. They made what did they make? A couple of billion last year. But they have 900 million dedicated followers, dedicated users. If you can't make a lot of money on 900 million daily users, you're not trying. And I think Mark not only is trying, I think he's a genius. So watch what happens. I think Facebook's going to start leveraging us, its users. I think they'll do it in a subtle way. I think they'll do it in a clever way. And I don't think it will just be ads on the site. I think we all know that that's probably not going to be what makes Facebook all of its money. But it's unclear yet what it will be. Maybe location-based ads. More than half the people who use Facebook right now use it on a phone or a tablet, mostly phones. You can't really show them ads. So how do you make Facebook pay there? Coupons, perhaps? Hey, you're walking by at a pizzeria. Come on in. 8888 Ask Leo, did you buy some Facebook stock? Did you make money or lose? Let's talk about it.
I want to be on the cover of
Rafe.
Forbes magazine, smiling next to Oprah and the Queen.
Woohoo!
Oh, every time I close my eyes, I see my name in shiny lights. Yeah, a different city every night.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I want to be on the cover of Forbes. You know what? Trust me. Good friend of mine, Kevin Rose, was on the cover of Business Week. They called him the $60 million man. It was the jinx. It was like being on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Guaranteed. Jinx. You do not. Now, Rolling Stone, that'd be different. I wouldn't mind being on the cover of Rolling Stone. Lance in Santa Ana, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Lance.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm calling about cell phones and cameras, or more importantly, the combination of the two.
Cell phones.
I'm looking for something that will take night shots.
Oh, that's an interesting question. Now, the way point and shoots and video cameras do night shots is they have lenses that are sensitive to, usually it's infrared light. And then they have on the camera itself an infrared lamp that blasts the light out, and so that's why you get that kind of weird greenish cast to it. It is, in fact, lit. It's just lit so in a way the human eye can't see, but the sensor on the camera can see. Now, one of the reasons you might not see cell phones that do that is because those lights burn up the battery pretty darn fast. Let me ask in the chat room, I haven't seen a cell phone that is particularly good in low light at all. I've never used one that's good in low light. What, are you a detective? Private eye?
No, I'm just out at night a lot, and there's a lot of interesting things to see around.
I agree, and I think there's a couple of strikes against cell phone cameras being good in the dark. One is that the sensor itself is very small, has to be, because the camera doesn't have a lot of room. Now, the smaller the sensor, if you think about it, the less light it's going to gather. I mean, I think that's pretty obvious. Like if you had a giant 3-foot wide sensor, a lot of sunlight would be hitting it. If you have a sensor the size of, let's say, your little pinky nail, less light rays hit it, right? Sensor that's a quarter of that size, which is a typical cell phone sensor, not a lot of light gets in there. So that's strike one. Strike two is that they can't really afford the battery technology to give yourself night vision. And in fact, Padre SJ is pointing out in our chat room that most cameras in the cell phones use CMOS sensors, which are not good at low light at all. So all round, I think you really, I don't think you're going to find a good low light cell phone. Even one that is billed as good low light is really just better than the terrible quality. Let me see here. There's a forum post on CNET. What's the best mobile phone for low light action photography? Basically, they're saying the same thing. Nothing. HTC Evo 4G, some people say that looks pretty good. You know, I have never seen. In fact, yeah, this forum thread agrees with me. I have never seen one that works well, and apparently no one else has either. So if you want to take low-light pictures, you want to get a camera that is very sensitive, has a big sensor, And in fact, I'm holding right now. I was because we have this car show outside in Petaluma. I came in with my camera, my Canon 5D Mark II. This is a DSLR with a sensor that's the size of a frame of 35 millimeter film. It's what they call a full frame sensor. So that's a big sensor. And then I have a lens on it that is a very, very fast lens. And if you look at it, the opening is huge. It's a f1.2 lens. Now this I could take great low light pictures with, but it's very, very pricey, and it's certainly not as lightweight as a cell phone. I don't think you could do it, Lance. Sorry to be the bearer of bad tidings. Sometimes technology just isn't good enough. Kira, Ontario, California. Kira, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm well. How are you, Kira?
I'm doing fine. I want to thank you for giving out that number for Sprint like 2 weeks ago.
Yes. Did you call them?
I called the number and they sent me out a new contract. I got it that Friday. I called them Monday and I got it Friday.
Oh, now this is great.
You did good.
You did good. You did all the work.
And I got a new battery for my phone, and I turned off the Bluetooth and all that, and now the battery lasts longer. But I got a backup battery like you suggested.
Oh, Kira, I love it when people call in with follow-ups because, sometimes I don't know if it's going to work. Generally speaking, you did what I generally recommend if you're having trouble with customer support, if you're getting bad service from a company. Most decent companies, Sprint among them, have an office of the CEO, and you write directly to Dan Hesse at Sprint. And his office will respond.
Yeah, I did that.
And it worked.
But I called that number that you gave out.
Good. Well,
and they got to me faster.
That's awesome. Kira, I'm so happy for you.
They got it out. I talked with them on Monday, and Friday they sent me UPS the new contract.
Wow. See, they take this really seriously. So
yes.
So you're happy now. Sprint did right by you.
Yes, they did.
Well, that's the other side of this equation, by the way. You complain when they do bad, but make sure you let the world know when they do a good thing, too, because that's one of the reasons they do this.
Yes, and I wanted to call and tell you thank you.
You're very welcome. Kira, thank you. Thank you, Dan Hesse, the CEO of Sprint. Sprint did the right thing by you. I'm so happy to hear that. Julia, Fresno, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi there, Leo.
Hey, how are you, Julia?
Great, thanks. Hope you're having a great afternoon.
I am. Thanks to you and Kira.
Glad to hear it.
All right.
Leo, the reason I'm calling, the tech man here.
Yes.
Okay, I'm applying for a position with KABC News.
Oh, you want to work in radio, huh?
No, the TV station.
Oh, even better. All right.
Trying, you think? Anyway, the thing is, usually I send an email from my link. A link from my email. This time they want a DVD, and I'm trying to figure out if there's a way to burn a video from my video library onto a DVD.
Oh, sure. Yeah, and so they're asking for your what they call reel, which is what you've done. They want to say, let's see what you've done. And frankly, they're kind of old-fashioned. Because I think the more modern company would say, well, what's the YouTube link, right?
Right.
Let me see what's your Vimeo link? Yeah, so they want a DVD. It's KABC. They're kind of old fashioned. So if you have, it's on your computer.
It's in my video library.
On the computer. So there are a lot of very good programs for. This is called DVD authoring. You probably already have something that will do it. What version are you using? Windows
7.
Windows 7. Yeah, I try. Yes. I think Windows Movie Maker will burn to DVD, won't it, kids? I don't use that, but I think it will. If not, there's a $79 program you probably should have anyway if you do any video editing. It's from Adobe. It's called Premiere Elements, and it'll let you author and do a great job with that. Authoring a DVD means burning a DVD with just like a commercial DVD with menus and all that stuff. But you could do it with Windows Movie Maker. It's already on your system. Just load the video in there, edit it the way you want, and say burn a DVD. And it's very simple. Thank you, Julia. Good luck. I hope you get the job. 8888 Ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More calls right after this. Hamvention's a big event that goes on every year usually it's in Dayton, where all the hams gather, and they have a big stage there, Yeah, we do a ham. Oh, and they're gone. And we do a ham radio podcast called Ham Nation. So the hosts are there. Bob Heil, who's a legend, he's a microphone maker. In fact, makes my microphone, the PR40 that I use, but also makes ham microphones. He's a ham from way back. The interesting thing about Bob is that he says he got his college education from amateur radio. Started when he was 14, didn't go to college, but learned electronics, learned audio, learned technology by being a ham, and went on to be a legendary audio guy for the Grateful Dead, for the Who, for Joe Walsh and the Eagles, and makes microphones now as an audio company. It's an amazing thing, and he says again and again, "I owe it all to ham radio." Is it working now? Can you hear me now, guys? Is it me? We're sending. No, I know we're sending because I was able to talk to Scott last hour. Well, we'll figure it out. Anyway, we'll get down there. So Bob is there. They're wearing, I don't know if you can see, but they're wearing tuxedos. So they take this very seriously. And my personal mentor is also there, Gordon West, who taught me everything. Taught me to be a ham. I couldn't do it without him. And and George Thomas there, who's got a show called Smoke and Solder, which is usually more smoke than anything else. We'll see if we can get to Hamvention in just a little bit. Meanwhile, back to the phones we go. And Alec in Cedar Rapids, you're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Alec.
Hi, Leo.
What's up?
Well, I was on your show about a year ago.
Yeah.
And I told you that I did Lego films.
Oh, yeah. You do stop motion.
Yeah.
Yeah. How's that going for you?
Well, I had to move to a different channel because my other one shut down.
What? Did Google do that?
I think so. I don't know. But luckily, I had a bunch of my videos on Dropbox.
You didn't lose. Oh, by the way, never just assume that because you've uploaded to Google, you could never lose them. I'm glad you didn't save copies?
Yeah, I had a few copies.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you backed them up.
Yeah.
Did you use commercial music as backgrounds?
No.
I'm just, saying if you did, that's probably why Google shut you down.
No, I think they said that I had my copy. I didn't have any copyright.
Oh, well, that's good. So anyway, what can I do for you?
Well, I picked it up on a different channel, and I figured I'd try and, get into more techie stuff, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I was wondering what you knew about green screening.
Oh, yeah, then you can get very fancy. So this is a technique that's used by television weathermen and women. You see it all the time. Well, maybe you don't, because if it's done right, you wouldn't even know they're doing it. But believe it or not, they're standing in front of not a weather map, but a green wall. And what happens is that the video technology, and this is an old technology, it's been around for a long time, can be adjusted so that whenever that particular shade of green occurs, it replaces it with something else. In this case, a weather map. It could be video. It could be anything. You don't have to have a green screen, by the way. Apple, in their photo booth program, in their iChat program, has the same feature. I think Logitech does as well, where what you'll do is you'll turn on the camera. You'll get out of the picture. It takes a picture of everything that's not moving. You get back in the picture, and then the computer subtracts everything but you from the image and puts the Eiffel Tower or a roller coaster behind it. So this is called matting. It doesn't have to be with green. It can be with a variety of different colors. Green seems to be the best. I used to do blue screen, remember? But the green seems to be the best because it doesn't occur in life very often. And the reason you don't want it to occur, for instance, if you wore a green shirt that was the same color as the wall, you would disappear as well. Your head would float. So good mats are difficult to do. Many programs support it. iMovie does. I know you're using a Macintosh, so iMovie's not a bad choice. Just use their capability built in. There is a program, if you're using Final Cut Pro or Final Cut Express, that is remarkable from a company called DV Garage. This is the best keying software I know. It's $200. Not cheap. So, you know, if you're a young person doing a Lego channel, you might want to stick with iMovie and its green screen capability because it's free. But if you really wanted something that works really, really well, this chroma key or matting can be done very well with this program called DV Matte Pro. It's $199 from dvgarage.com. My friend Alex Lindsay does it, and these guys are truly amazing. Hey, Alec, what's your new channel? Can you give it a plug?
The what now?
What's your new YouTube channel?
Oh, Smart Alec Productions.
That's a good name. SmartAlek.
Yep.
Productions. That's cool. Well, I hope YouTube doesn't shut you down again this time, and if they do, go over to Vimeo.
Yeah, I heard some good things about that site. So.
I like Vimeo, especially if you're doing high-def stuff. Vimeo's fantastic. These are cool. So you've got a short, you've got a Harry Potter, you've got a Star Wars. Why did YouTube say that they pulled you down?
They didn't really give me a reason, and it might have been due to inactivity, but I didn't really look into it. I just figured move on, you know.
Right. Move on, exactly. Yeah, so the way you're doing it right now, you're doing a set of Legos as the background. But yeah, you could replace that. Let's see, say you want to do a Star Wars movie, you could replace it with Tatooine.
Right.
That'd be kind of cool. What you're learning is very useful skills that are good. These skills are going to be very. This is great. Nice job, Alec. I like that.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is really cool. You want to be a filmmaker when you grow up?
Yeah, I'm hoping to be a director.
Awesome. Well, that's what you're doing right now, isn't it? You're directing your own films.
Yeah, so, you know, getting there.
Well, I'm bad old Google. I'm sorry they took you down, but maybe they won't do that again. I see Gordon and George and Bob getting ready from Dayton, Ohio at Hamvention. We're going to try one more time in just a bit and see if we can get that up. We can talk to the Hams at the big gathering in Dayton, Ohio. That's where they are right now in just a little bit. 80, and then meanwhile, 8888 Ask Leo's the number. And the website is techguylabs.com. And by the way, our caller who wanted, Julia, I think, who wanted to burn a video, I mentioned that Windows Movie Maker is free and will do it, but you don't have it on Windows 7. You have to get it, but it's easy to get. Just go to get.live.com. It's part of the Windows Live Essential package. And you can just download it for free, Windows Movie Maker, and it will burn a DVD. You can also do Adobe Premiere Elements for free for 30 days. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. So I sent an email. If you're running a small business, you can't operate at anything less than... I sent you that thread. She can't do it? So Scoble, Rafe would be great, because he apparently did a whole special on it.
I love it. The thing's more than just fast. But that's just half the story.
Right. So there you go. Search plus your life. And then who else was I? Well, if Eva's just Scoble and Rafe, that'd be good. I invited somebody else, I think. Becky would be great. Ask her. Ask her. Thank you.
You can also cut back.
So is it working now?
That's a good deal.
Was it there? There's something on their end?
Less trees.
There's something on their end. Okay.
Documents look more professional when you print on both sides. So put your small business in overdrive. With
You gonna take off? Nice to see you. I'm glad you got to Starbucks. That's good. Acre is great. Yeah. Isn't this a cute town? You came at a good time. This is like, the weather's perfect. Well, it is. But we love it. I mean, living here is like heaven. Yeah, and history too. Yeah. Thank you. Oh, one of those shows we did at like a coffee shop? Yeah. That was fun. Yeah. Thank you so much. Well, really nice to meet you. Thanks. Take care. Enjoy. Go see some cars. There's some pretty cars out there. All right.
piracy. Now, why did you report software piracy to the Business Software Alliance?
Oh, hey, I wanted to mention, do I have time? Stamps.com? I should mention Stamps.com. Very quickly before we go to Dayton, Ohio. Stamps is, of course, one of our best sponsors here on the show, both on the radio show and on the podcast. And, of course, it's perfect for people who listen to this show because I presume you all have computers and have printers. And I presume you also, like me, do not like going to the post office. It would be nice if you didn't have to buy stamps, right? Well, you don't. It'd be nice if you didn't have to bring packages larger than 13 ounces into the post office. Well, you don't. It'd be nice if you could do all your international mailing, do your eBay mailing, your Amazon mailing right from your desk. You can with Stamps.com. It lets you print U.S. postage, any kind of postage, from your computer, Mac or PC. They now support the Mac on the website. You get a great scale. There's this USB scale that comes along with it for free. And what's nice about this, you plug it into the computer, then you pop a letter or whatever on there, and it knows exactly how much it weighs, so you always have exactly the right postage. You say where you're going, it knows exactly. And if it's international, by the way, it'll give you an international postage stamp, and it will also fill out all the forms you need to fill out. If you're an eBay or Amazon seller, it actually takes that data directly from the sites. So you don't do any typing. It just goes boom. It is amazing. And that's why I want you to try it right now. Absolutely free. It's a no-risk trial offer. It's not technically free. I'll explain how it works. But first, you've got to go to Stamps.com. Click the radio button that says, I heard it on the radio. I don't think they say podcasts yet. They really ought to. Stamps.com. Let me just look. Yeah, you click it, the microphone in the upper right-hand corner, and then use the offer code TECHGUY. The $80 value goes to $110 value. That's $55 in the coupons for postage. The scale is free except you pay shipping and handling. $5 supply, get 4-week trial. You're going to love this. It's just amazing. And why not? With $55 in postage. Try it free. Stamps.com. Use the offer code TechGuy. And we thank him so much for supporting the Tech Guy podcast. Can you hear me, guys, now?
Oh, we hear you.
Yay! Yeah. All right, we're going to come to you in just a minute. Well, that's a great picture. You look so sharp.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
All right, Leo, you have an ESAT live read.
Got it. I might have to push this.
That's fine.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We take you now through the magic of satellite internet. I don't even know how this works. To Dayton, Ohio, where there's some very good-looking fellas. Hey, Bob.
Hey, how are you, Leo?
We got it working. Bob Heil is here, host of Ham Nation, along with Gordon West, his co-host, and George Thomas, who does the Smoke and Solder segment every week on Ham Nation. Great to see you.
Well, it's good to be on your show, Leo. Everybody's asked about you. I said, we're going to be here today at this time, and there's, I don't know how many hundreds of people. We'll pan it here in a minute and show you. Amazing. People from all over the world come to Dayton, Ohio. It is the international mecca for ham radio, and it has been since 1955. And we're so thrilled that we could get a signal out of here. Signals are terrible in the hall, and the Exceed company brought this in. It's Viasat, new technology.
I can't believe how good it is. Normally with the satellite, you get a lot of latency and everything, but this is not only a stunning picture, but the ping times are very low. This looks good.
Well, they somehow licked it. So Viasat is a winner. And they sent their engineer in here just for you, Leo. I want to tell you that. We're so gracious because we now can get a good signal back to you. I have with me, other than hundreds of friends, of course, Gordon West.
All right. Hi, Leo. And we're here live and direct from Dayton, Ohio. We have kids, and the kids are making up ham radio big time. Many of them are taking their examinations. We've got technical stuff such as the introduction of Codec 2 to cut down on all of our bandwidth. We've got public safety. All the MCOM groups are here ready for the big one, Leo. We've got satellites that have been passing over all day long. We've got crystal radios. I think we found yours, George, your original crystal radio. Morse code still lives. Software-defined radios are still here. The Motorola gang is over there. I thought they were talking on a cell phone, Bob, and they were actually yakking digital on bandwidth that is even more narrow than what's left of my voice. FTMA, TWiT, we've got it all here. And I think we even have a picture of, a still picture that we might bring up of one of the new rigs that has been introduced here. But there has been probably 20 or 30 new ham radios that have been introduced right here at Dayton 2012. So I'm now going to see if Bob wants to do a quick pan. Oh, yeah.
Is that the new Kenwood? Kenwood hasn't put out a new radio in some time, have they?
They have not, and this is a new Kenwood, and we were sworn to secrecy not to tell you what the back half of the Kenwood looks like.
That is pretty.
That's the new.
That is pretty.
Yes.
I have a Kenwood handy talkie that I like a lot. This would be for the HF, the high frequency stuff, I would guess.
Yeah, well, this is quite the unit. As you can see, it's got a pan adapter and well built in. So, Leo, I thought you might want to take a quick look. And for our listeners throughout the United States, you're going to hear the hams in action. So get ready. They're going to give their call on the count of 3. Here we go. Let's hear it, hams. Everybody in the United States. 1, 2, 3.
They're all giving their calls. I got that all. Talk about a pile-up. That's crazy.
Oh, boy. And we also have a very special ham. Bob, why don't you go ahead? And this is our ham of the year. And then we're going to go right over to George. Bob?
The picture is stopped on Mr. S. Suri. He's from India.
Oh, man.
And he is ham of the year. And welcome to America and being the amateur radio of the year from India. Thank you for being here. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me to the studio. Also, I'm very proud of the Dayton Hamvention and their selection committee. This year they selected me as the ham of the year. So for the whole of India is celebrating this day today because I'm getting it. Of course, the India is celebrating it. All the hams feel they're proud of this event. And I especially thank Dayton Hamvention committee, awards committee, and all the hams of the U.S. I have many friends here. They are appreciating it. And we also appreciate the international spirit of accommodating everyone from the world and inviting them here and also giving them the opportunity.
So ham radio, truly an international sport. All right, we're going to spin the camera around, Leo, and there's our good-looking audience. And now, live and direct listeners, is Smoke and Solder George. Hi, George.
Hi, Gordo. I got to tell you, Leo, it is hard to hang with Gordo and Bob in Dayton. You see how they've got me dressed here.
You guys are all, I thought at first that the dress code of Hamvention was black tie, and then I took a look at some pictures and I realized, no, it's actually not the dress code. It's just you.
Yeah. Boy, it's great to be here. Gordo, I've seen more stuff than I can fit in my luggage.
There you go. Well, the best part of ham radio for those listening is in an emergency, these ham operators will come immediately to the call of duty. So, Bob, over to you for the call of duty from Dayton, Ohio.
Well, we're so happy to be here, Leo, and we want to let the world know that amateur radio is growing very fast, and you and the TWiT network have done so much for that. We've had just hundreds of people to thank Leo Laporte and all of the people in Petaluma.
Oh, that's
so
nice.
We're glad.
We're glad to promote. How many new hams were there this year? I think several 100,000, right?
Oh, there were, I think, well, there were thousands, certainly.
There are several 100,000 total. Yeah.
Examination.
That's really neat.
We had a lot of tests here and won. So we're very, very happy that they won that license here by passing the test. So it's an easy thing now to do. You don't have to pass the Morse code. And you look at Ham Nation every Tuesday night here on the TWiT network, and George will teach you how to build things, and you can join all the fun also. I
learned from Gordon West's great materials. Gordo has some great audio and books that help me take the test. If I can get a general license, anybody can. So it is exciting. It really is. And it's funny because I talk on the radio all the time, but there's something about transmitting to countries all around the world, or for some listening to hear countries all around the world, that's really special. That's what makes it exciting. It's a really fun hobby. And some people might say, well, analog radio, come on, I've got Skype. In fact, that's what we're using right now with that Exceed satellite to talk to Dayton. But really, you learn something. Bob, I told the story earlier about this was, you consider ham your college education.
It is. Honestly, I was licensed in 1956, and it's been such a fascinating run putting up these big antennas and stuff. That's where I learned all of the technical skills to go on, and here we are, the only manufacturer in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and it's a crazy ham with a soldering iron. Well, that's what it's all about. And I've been here since the first time I came here was in 1959.
Wow.
So I've been to a lot of hamventions. That one had 600 people in the Biltmore downtown. But there's a few more people here. Becking, I think. I haven't heard. Have you heard any numbers, George? Have you heard any?
20,000.
Wow.
Wow. That's
Is
amazing.
that right? 20,000, everybody?
Well, it's fun to talk to you from, and thanks again to those folks at Exceed. This is I think that wild blue stuff that we've been hearing about, and what a great demonstration of. You could not do this with any of the existing satellite systems. This is we're talking via Skype to Ohio, and it's working beautifully. I have to say, it's very, very impressive. They call it satellite broadband, and I think it really does a great job.
One was really cool was about an hour ago, the high-speed internet that was brought into the booth here for us to do this show with you early on this week, it died 1 hour.
Wow.
Before the show. Well, we weren't hooked up to it, but just think, if you had to rely on cable, you'd be out to lunch.
Yeah.
But, we're in. So happy. Thank you so much, Leo, everybody in Petaluma, and greetings to all on the network, and we'll see you on Tuesday night.
It's Tuesday night for Ham Nation. 7-3, everybody. 73. Bye-bye to all our hams in Dayton, Ohio. Wow, that is really, really cool. And Bob Heil, Gordon West, and George Thomas there. They look like they're having a lot of fun. You can take off the tuxedos now, guys, by the way. You can go back to the T-shirts. I have to say, when they said we're going to use satellite to Skype back to you, I thought that's not gonna be happy. But this is a very different kind of satellite. Normally with satellite, you really couldn't do Skype because it would take you 30 seconds to hear what the other person said just up and down to the satellite. I don't know what this Exceed company is doing, but boy, that is a very impressive connection. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More to come right after this. You stay right here. And that was great, guys. You did a great job.
Thanks.
Wow, that was fun. We could talk a little more on the podcast because we have a little more time now than the radio does.
Okay. Are you talking about after the show?
Well, not right now. I mean, you're on the air right now. I was not going to give a big plug to Exceed, but I am blown away by the quality of this.
Well, it works out well. This is a brand new thing, and I'm so happy to have Harry Thibodeau and all of those people. They sent their own engineer. Ken came in here from Madison, Kentucky. Another one came in from Minneapolis, and another one from Michigan. They all drove in here and put all this stuff in because they wanted it to be right for you, and boy, is it. So
yeah.
We're honored to have that happen.
That's great.
So now we can go anywhere, Leo. This thing all folds up in a suitcase, by the way.
Wow. Now the Ham of the Year. Now you were Ham of the Year a few years ago at Hamvention.
1982. And I have to tell you, very honored by this award. The guy before me in 1981 that had the Ham of the Year award was Barry Goldwater. Yes,
wow.
Senator Barry Goldwater.
Wow.
He was a ham.
That's
7
cool.
UGA. Yeah, and so we see all walks of life, and here we are with Mr. Suri from India, and so this is a completely international convention and hobby.
Can I ask you, what is it that made it? Why did he become the Ham of the Year? What was he did? Is he a DXer? What does he do?
Yeah, he does everything, but he also is like the head of the National Institute of Amateur Radio for India. And he does much to create the wealth over there of amateur radio, and nobody like anyone of Dr. Suri's quality to build the foundation of ham radio in India. So we're happy to have him here, and he has a large contingency of Indian hams, and it's really great to get on the air, throw up a 20-meter dipole, and talk to India. It's neat. It's really great.
Well, cool, guys. I'm going to let you go and go back to work, and I'm sure you have a few things to do at Hamvention. I hope that was what you wanted, and you're happy with it.
Thank you. I hope you were okay.
I am, too. Yeah, no, I'm fine. Yeah, that was really great. Great group of people. See y'all later at Hamvention.
So long.
Great. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here. The Tech Guy, hour number 3 of the Tech Guy Show coming at you. We're talking about computers. We're talking about the Facebook IPO. We're talking about cell phones, satellite, and, of course, hams. 8888 Ask Leo. Bob makes those the microphones that I use, and we actually use these throughout the studio here at the Tech Guy Labs. I probably have 20 or 30 Heil PR40 mics. I love these microphones, and so he's such a good friend, and he's such a character. Inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. In fact, he's the guy. We were talking to Bob. In case you just joined us, we were talking to Bob last hour at Hamvention. He's a big ham in more ways than one. And Bob Heil also hosts a podcast for us called Ham Nation. But he's the guy who did the quadraphonic sound for The Who, for Quadrophenia. He's the guy who did the talk box for Peter Frampton, and Frampton Comes Alive. I mean, he's got some stories, let me tell you. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number, 888-827-5536. Rainey is on the line from Long Beach, California. Hi, Rainey.
Hey, how are you, Leo?
I'm great. How are you?
You're teaching an old dog a whole bunch of new tricks here.
That's the goal.
And you're succeeding.
Good.
I got a little problem. I've got a smartphone, an HTC Incredible. Like the phone, love the Android platform. As you obviously know, it's set up for social media.
Oh yeah.
And I run a business, and so I use Microsoft in my business and contacts, particularly to keep my business contacts in order.
Right.
And this phone doesn't do well in syncing up with contacts. I mean, I'm on a first name basis with the HTC helpline, and they just can't seem to get out of their own way.
Are you trying to sync directly with Outlook?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But basically, just as the phone tells me to do, is I sync up my calendar. The calendar works pretty good.
Let me just stop you. Because I don't think that's going to ever work well.
Okay.
Of course, Android works best with Google. So my suggestion is, instead of trying to sync directly to your phone, you sync Outlook with Google's calendars, with Google's contacts. And then have the phone, don't even talk to Outlook. Have the phone talk to Google.
Phone talk to Google, okay.
You'll get a much better result. Google offers a free sync tool for syncing your Google account to your Outlook account.
And we're talking the contacts.
Well, apparently Outlook does not sync contacts, just the calendar. Well, that stinks.
Yeah, see, the contacts is really.
Do you need to keep your contacts in Outlook? Could you survive if you exported your contacts to Google and let them live there?
Well, it'd be another step. I use Outlook all the time. In emails and so on. It goes on, and I'm getting ready to upgrade the phone. I'm looking, and I know you like the new Razr and on a Motorola as a manufacturer. And I guess the question is there anything out there that does this? When I had a Palm and they used,
it's ironic. Even Windows Phone 7 will not sync contacts with Outlook. So I'm starting to think that the problem might lie in the Microsoft corner.
Maybe.
If they can't figure out how to do it with their own phone, how do you expect Android to do it?
Yeah.
Let me think. I mean,
I know.
Now,
there's a few apps out there.
do you use an Exchange server?
No.
Yeah, because that's the best way to do it. And in corporations, that's what they do. If you had an Exchange server running, the Android phones sync just fine with Exchange server. So it's just something that Microsoft apparently doesn't want you to do.
Wow, I mean, I think anybody in business that's using Outlook as their contact database seems to be out of luck here.
And that's almost everybody, isn't it?
Well, there's a lot of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's the Apple devotees, but anybody using Microsoft, and I'm on XP, which is, it's still a good platform, but it isn't the newest.
If you pay for Google Apps, then you can sync with the Google Apps sync for Outlook.
Pay for Google Apps.
Yeah,
okay.
That's not super expensive. There is an Indian company called Infotech that makes a third-party program called Contacts Sync that others have. I don't do this, so I don't know, but others say does work.
Contact Sync?
Yeah, it's from ppindia.com.
PP India.
And it's free. Well, hey, good news. At least you don't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I strongly suggest when you start syncing contacts, one of the worst things that can happen is you get all these duplicates and it really screws up what you're doing. So I would suggest making a backup first of your Outlook contacts.
I learned that very early on. It exploded my 1,500 to nearly 6,000.
Exactly.
And I had to go in and hand pick them out of there. That was not a fun process.
Yeah.
But
I would look at this ppindia.com. It's called Contact Syncs.
Okay.
And it looks like it's intended to do exactly what you want to do, which is real-time, constant syncing between Outlook and Google. And then your phone just gets the benefit of that because, as you know, with any Android phone, you log into your Google account, and it just gets everything from the Google account.
Yeah. Just a short second question. I'm getting ready to upgrade the phone, and I know you like the new Razr, Motorola Razr.
Actually, I'm not a big fan of that.
Oh.
If you're you're on Verizon.
I am on Verizon, and I'm not giving it up. So.
Yeah, I don't blame you. And Verizon, of course, pushes these Android or Droid phones, I should say, heavily. The Droid Max, you might have gathered that I like it because I've mentioned the Droid Max because it has good battery life, and that is often unusual on a smartphone. But they have other smartphones that I would take a look at. The Nexus, for instance, which is a vanilla Google phone experience. That's pretty good.
Okay.
That's probably the best Verizon Google phone right now.
Is Samsung, that new Samsung seems to be a nice...
That's going to be a nice one. I don't know if they're getting the Galaxy 3. I would inquire, because if they do get the Galaxy 3, that would be the phone, better than the Nexus. That would be the phone to get.
Yeah, that one has a lot of interest to me.
It's an excellent phone. That's going to be probably the top phone out there. Right now, it's not. The Nexus is not my favorite Android phone, but it's my favorite on Verizon.
Okay, fair enough.
All right.
Thanks for your help.
Hey, thanks for calling. I appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Yeah, I don't know why Verizon. It's I've actually changed phone companies in the past because the company didn't have the phones I wanted. So I'm a baby that way. I'm more interested in the phone. It actually makes sense, right? You use the phone probably more than you use the phone service. So, I don't think it's too unreasonable to choose the phone first. The iPhone's not bad. Verizon does have the iPhone. It pushes the Droids. I don't like the Droids particularly. I don't think Motorola is my favorite Android company. I don't like the Motorola Blur interface. And literally, that's what they call it. Worst name ever. HTC Resound is not bad, actually. That's a pretty good phone. And I do believe Verizon is going to get the Galaxy Note at some point, which is an excellent giant phone. And if they get the HTC One, that will be the one to get. Maybe even better than the Galaxy S3. We're still waiting. I guess they decided not to get. No, they decided not to get the HTC One. Dum, 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 dum. Dum, 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 dum. They passed on it. You Verizon customers, you gotta step up. The hot phone out there right now, the Galaxy S3, it's not out yet. Verizon will offer, I believe will offer one. Already 9 million pre-orders. Those are iPhone numbers. This phone is hot right now. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo, we have that Nod 32 live read.
I'll do it. Frampton, he's coming alive. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888, Ask Leo. We're having an interesting conversation in the chat room, actually. I want to get your opinion on this. Maybe I'm completely off base. So here's some good news. It's a good news, bad news thing. We've talked before about the fact that the #1 internet service provider in the U.S., Comcast, was capping our bandwidth use at 250 gigabytes. After that, they just turn you off. Now, that's a lot. And when Comcast instituted those caps, they said, hey, nobody uses this much. Only the most egregious bandwidth hogs would even come close. We're just putting this in here to prevent you from being just, our network to be overrun by one or two people who just use a ton of bandwidth. Well, now, because everybody's using Netflix streaming, Pandora, we're all streaming like constantly. We're downloading much bigger files than we used to. I think they're acknowledging that. They're doing a trial in several markets that will increase the cap to 300 gigabytes. That's good. That's great. 20% increase? That's nice. Thank you. But they're going to do a trial. And they're going to try different ways of responding to going over the 300 gigabytes. In one test, subscribers to higher speed internet will get more data. So you'll be able to buy a tier that goes to 300 gigabytes. So they're testing all these things to see how you respond to the public. So in one case, you have 250 gigabytes unless you pay for a higher speed connection, which I do, by the way. I buy the Comcast Super Duper Burst, whatever it is. Then you'll get 300 gigabytes. And the other trial, everybody gets 300 gigabytes. What's this? I don't know why you would even have a trial. Which would you prefer, to pay more or not? Not. Thank you. So that's dumb. If that's the experiment they're doing, huh? Maybe they're testing for something else. I don't know. In both cases, though, they're going to charge you extra if you go over. Possibly $10 per 50 gigabytes. Which is, going over by 50 gigabytes is a lot. And now you're at 350 gigabytes. So I thought, well, that's a good idea, but a lot of people are telling me in the chat room, no, we'd rather that after we go over the limit, the 300 gigabyte limit, we would rather that Comcast throttle us, slow us down, than charge more. I guess that makes sense. Depends how much they throttle you down, right? Do they cut your speed? What if let's say they cut your speed in half? Is that preferable, or would you prefer to pay an overage charge of $10? Let's say $10 a month because you used another 50 gigs. I think people in the chat room are all telling me they don't want to be they don't want the overage charge because they don't want a surprise in their bill. Now, I presume in both cases Comcast is going to send you a series of emails saying, hey, you're getting close. Hey, you're getting real close. Hey, you're over. So you're not going to be surprised by this. But you'd still rather be cut in half, your speed cut in half, than charge an extra 10%. I guess it depends on how much you depend on the internet and how much speed you need and how much extra you might use. People seem to be a little irate that Comcast is proposing this overage charge. They don't like that. No overage charges. All right, I guess I'm wrong. I thought, well, that seems a reasonable thing. You just charge an extra $10 for the extra 50 gigabytes. That seems reasonable. No, huh? No overages. Tim's in Kansas City. Hi, Tim. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
Thanks
Appreciate
for calling.
what you're doing and all your talent there.
Well,
I have when I'm streaming live or taped, it seems like it slows down. It's like you would be talking and you get low and slow, then it speeds back up. What's my problem?
And that's in video and audio?
Yes. And it does it live like you're live now. And usually my clock's in sync with yours behind you. But I'm 2 minutes ahead of you. Now it just seems to slow down a little bit. And it also does it with...
But it doesn't sound like it's slowing down, or does it?
Yeah, it just slows down just for a little bit and then goes right back. It's not a sustained...
Yeah,
it doesn't like the old tape players would.
Yeah, I actually haven't experienced that, but I think I understand what's happening. Think about this. In order to watch video streaming, especially video, audio is not as much a problem anymore. We all have, well, most of us have a sufficient speed, but it really is dependent on how much speed you have in your network. And then there's an additional issue called buffer bloat. Which I'll talk about in a little bit as well. I think that's what you're suffering from, by the way. And I'll tell you how you can find out. In order to stream content live, you have to have sufficient connectivity. And notice I don't say speed, because it's more than just speed, but sufficient connectivity to get the packets that are coming to you. Remember, all this data that you're getting is chunked up into little packets. And a chunk of the video comes, and another chunk. You have to get it in time, in a timely enough fashion to put it in order and have it play back. Now, there's a number of strategies to accommodate the fact that the internet is not consistent. It's slow and it's fast, and it's slow and it's fast. Buffering is the most common. We get ahead by 30 seconds, right? That's what's going on when you're buffering. You're getting ahead by 30 seconds. And then if every once in a while the video has to stop for a minute, or not a minute, but stop for a second or two waiting for a packet that's missing, it can afford to do so. Now, once you use up all of the buffer, the 30 seconds, then you have to buffer again. That's what rebuffering is. So we've all seen that, right? That's kind of the most common thing on the internet. That is a result of either your connection being insufficient or the server that's sending you the video. They could be having a problem there. But there might be other strategies for dealing with this, including not playing back the video in real time. What if you slowed the video down just a little bit? That'd give you some extra time, wouldn't it? So I suspect whatever it is you're using to play back video is slowing down a little bit because packets aren't arriving in order in a timely fashion. Now, there's this new thing called buffer bloat. What a mess this buffer bloat thing is. Because memory got cheap, people who make routers decided to just throw in bigger buffers. They thought, well, this will help. This whole, buffering thing. If we have bigger buffers, well, we'll be more resistant. We're more resilient. But it turns out, an unexpected consequence, it breaks part of the protocol that's sending us data called congestion control. It actually makes it worse, not better. If you Google buffer bloat, you can read about it. And there's a place you can go to see if you have buffer bloat. There's not much you can do about it right now. There are new technologies coming that will fix this problem. It's a widespread, well-known problem. There's a really neat tool that the University of California at Berkeley has put online called Netalyzer that actually analyzes your internet connection. I'll put a link in the show notes to it, or you can Google Netalyzr and you'll find it. I'll tell you what it means when we come back. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I know, he said. I know.
Hello, hello.
Hey, Dick.
How are you?
I'd say Hawaii. That's a Hawaii shirt.
Yeah. You're not wearing yours today.
I'll put one on just for you.
See, I have like 6 of them, so I try to coordinate. I see yours first.
I like it.
But today...
Hey, how are you? Leo. Hey, Mark. Welcome. Have a seat. Make yourself to home. Doesn't matter. You're going to want to wear those headphones. I would get the throne, yeah. Wear those headphones so that you can hear what's going on here. Well, we're still doing a show. Oh, is it early for Dick? Oh, it is early for Dick.
Yeah, that's okay. I can just sit here and be quiet.
Would you mind? I called you early. Just sit here and be quiet, would you? Hey, I wanted to thank you for the these Buffalo routers.
Oh, good.
Oh, my God. I'm so excited.
No, great. They came up to the office, and I said, you know, I understand these somewhat, but I have a person
this
who
is
would understand
very exciting. I'm really excited.
And I said, if you could overnight them, he might use them.
I
as
am going to do them. I'm
daily
going
gift.
to do them today, and then we're going to do a review on Before You Buy as I do more extensive testing. But I got about 20% better speed on my internet from this.
Great.
Yeah, and if you're transferring files through your network, it's make a huge difference. So that's exciting. It's a new 802.11. It's new Wi-Fi AC. 802.11 AC.
The latest.
Yeah. I didn't even know they were working on something after N. Of course, I knew they must be, but I didn't know we were close. Yeah, they're gigabit routers. Gigabit Wi-Fi. Actually, 1.3 gigabit Wi-Fi. It's a new spec, and it's amazing. Highly recommended. It's also at 5 gigahertz. So, I use it in my apartment where there are about 20 other Wi-Fi signals, and that's another reason to use this. It's not yet an official standard, but it's very close.
And the second unit is...
Yeah, you need that, because most people don't yet have AC receivers. Remember, we sold N routers. They sold N routers for about a year before it was official. Oh, I know. I can't wait to get these Cirrus arrays. Thank you, Robert. Let me ask you, though, are they AC or they're probably 802.11G or N, rather? Yeah, AC will replace N at some point. They're N, but they will do a firmware upgrade. Ah, cool. I was impressed by this. You know, it's funny that you should play that. Our musical director, Kyle Benham, is spinning the tunes. The stacks of wax, the mounds of sounds, the round mounds of sounds. He, of course, does a great job of picking apropos music throughout the show and then puts a playlist out on his Google Plus account, in case you're interested. KYLE space BENHAM on Google Plus. But we'll put it on our show notes at Tech Guy Labs after the fact. But you're picked a perfect song because it's American Graffiti's Day here in Petaluma, California. And there's old cars driving around. And there's even a guy in a booth with big speakers downtown playing songs just like that one. And he's calling himself XREB or XERB. XERB. Do you know what that is that was Wolfman Jack's station on the movie. Remember Wolfman Jack? He was playing, he was spinning the disc. Wolfman Jack, XERB. I can't do that very long. My throat will wear out. Anyway, a lot of fun. It's really a really fun thing to do. If you ever come to Northern California around this time, you'll enjoy it. Let's see here. Dick DeBartolo, Mad Magazine's Maddest Writer, coming up in just a little bit with a Gadget of the Week. We have a few more minutes in the show, so I'm going to take as many calls as I can. Let's start with Michael in Pasadena. Hi, Michael. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hello?
Hey, Michael.
Hi, how are you?
I am great.
Okay, I listen to your show every Saturday after work, and I decided to give you a call. I've got this problem. I have a Windows 98. The computer's very old. It's a Dell, and it does have the tower on the floor. And what happened was, I believe one of my nephews came over, and he was playing with iTunes and goofing around with how you hook up music and all that. And I'm not very computer savvy, but my speakers don't work at all. And I tried disconnecting where you plug into the back, and I have an additional set of speakers that you plug in, and you can turn them on to amplify the sound from the tower. It's not working at all.
This is going to be a new thing. We used to say, "Get off my lawn, you kids." Now it's, "Get off my PC, you kids. You're ruining the thing. Get off of it." So I don't know what he did. There's a lot he could have done. I presume he wasn't being malicious, right?
No.
How old is he?
14.
Oh, you're in deep trouble.
Yeah.
He's old enough to know. If we're a 4-year-old, I'd figure, well, we could fix this. But a 14-year-old, oh, no, you got problems. So a couple of things I would do. I mean, I can't walk you through everything possible wrong here. It could be it's not infinite, but there's dozens of things that could be wrong. First thing I'd do is I'd open your mixer. Do you know where there's a mixer in the system tray? You know, the lower right-hand corner of your window where the taskbar is on the right there. There's a little speaker icon. If you right-click that and open Mixer, we want to make sure, first of all, the sound's turned up, but we also want to make sure it's assigned properly.
Well, I wanted to tell you about that. There is no speaker icon in the taskbar anymore. It's gone. And then I went to Control Panel, and I did find in the Control Panel, a bunch of icons came up. And the speaker system showed, and I right-clicked on that, and then the speaker system showed up where you could raise the volume or mute it.
Yeah.
And it's like a ghost. You can't do anything.
So he must have installed something.
I don't know what this kid did. But I've had people tell me, try doing this, try doing that.
Make sure that you've so you're in the sounds control panel. Make sure that the device is properly chosen. You want to be playing music to the speakers,
right?
Not a digital device. You want to go
audio digital. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it should be speakers.
It is.
Okay. The other thing is to look in your device manager. You right-click on My Computer, select Properties, go to the Device Manager tab. And make sure you have a sound card. Maybe, it could be it wasn't the kid. It could be that there's a coincidence. The kid was doing something, and it turns out it's an old computer.
Yes, it is.
You have tried restarting it, right?
Many times.
Okay. You want to make sure Device Manager can see the sound card, and if it can't, then have it scanned for hardware to see if it can find it.
Because I can't afford it. Is there an online network I can use or a software I can free download for looking for the sound card?
No.
Okay, so I'll probably end up having to pay someone, right?
Well, I would just mess around with it, futz around with it. You've checked the wires, right? You make sure everything's plugged in properly.
Yes.
Keep looking at those settings in the mixer. A lot of times it's one of those things that you look and you look and you look and then boom, oh, I remember that. Or, of course, it's that. So keep looking. I don't think you necessarily have to pay somebody. Just keep looking. And I can't think of what a kid could have done if he isn't malicious that would just be kind of something he might do by accident that could cause this at this point. Chat room's very convinced you're missing drivers. I don't know about that. I don't think so. The sound settings are grayed out because you can't set them, which indicates to me that it's you've set it up with a device that you can't turn up. In other words, something other than speakers. So I'd keep looking in that sounds control panel. There's something going on in there. He assigned it to a different output device or something like that.
Bounce off the wall music, baby. See you later, alligator. Well, I saw my baby walking with another man today.
Them's were the days.
With another man today.
Wolfman Jack, baby. Oh, yeah,
baby. Hey, Wolfman.
Yeah, baby.
Can I get a midnight dedication?
Yeah, you get midnight dedication. What would you like? It's all going out to Kyle Benham. All right, baby.
88. Ask Leo. Dickie D is here. Dick DeBartolo, Mad Magazine's maddest writer. We call him the Gizwiz because he's a great big gadget hound. Hello, Dickie D.
Leo, how you doing, pal?
Very, very well. Did you ever meet Wolfman Jack?
I never did.
For some reason, I don't know. It just seems like you would know him.
It would seem like we should.
Yeah.
But it's too late now.
No, it is. But he was, of course, a great DJ in the 50s and the 60s, featured in American Graffiti. I think American Graffiti gave him a real renaissance to his career. And he was working out of Tijuana, I think, or just south of San Diego, on a Mexican station, XERB. And that's a big scene in that movie. So, Dick, do you have a gadget for us today?
I do. Actually, we talked about it on the weekly Daily Gizwiz, but I'm doing gadgets from the hardware show for ABC News on Sunday, and I called the people who make the iBorescope and said, could I borrow one for ABC? And they said, well, the president of the company will be there in an hour with it.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, so they brought it over.
Treatment.
This is really great fun. I just got to see them play with it at the hardware show. So the iBorescope, a couple of years ago, we talked about Video Seeker from the same company, General Tools. And it's a probe you can put behind walls, down the drain, just any place you can physically see. And the end of the probe has a video camera on it.
That's what a boroscope is a camera on a kind of flexible thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the iBorescope now will output to your iPad or your iPhone or your iPod Touch. And it's pretty nifty. Ooh. You download the app. You turn on the iBorescope. There's a little red light. When it turns green, it has established a little Wi-Fi area. You open the app. You go to settings. Under Wi-Fi, there'll now be all of the networks that you're around, but there'll also be the iBore network. You click on that. They're now connected to each other. Now you can run around and start looking behind, under things. You can look down the drain. I used actually Video Seeker. I was wondering if the inside of the tank on my boat was rusting at all, my gas tank, and I took the cap off and stuck the probe in there, ran all the gas out of the tank, and was amazed that the boat's 12 years old. Tank is spotless inside, something I wouldn't normally be able to do without having this probe.
I guess people come around and do it for you at a great cost, but now you you can do it yourself.
You can do it yourself. And actually, this new version now has 3 little attachments for the end. A magnet, so if something fell down the drain, that's magnetic. You can use the camera. And there's also an adjustable light. There are 2 LED lights inside the probe and a little rheostat so you can adjust the brightness. And then there's a hook if you want to pick something up. And there's a little 45-degree mirror, so if you want to look around while you're down there. It's $299, not coming till the middle of July, but it's a fun gadget. So it's iBorescope, and it's coming from General Tools in about 6 weeks.
I think that a lot of tech enthusiasts might use this because you could look inside a computer or look inside, anything that you can't really get into and see yourself. You could just, plunge this thing into it and you could look. And it's just kind of fun. Maybe get Sister Sally to swallow it.
Yeah.
Why not?
I know already that my tonsils have been taken out. I couldn't remember. I
just check.
Oh, they're gone.
Just look.
They're gone. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Some other stuff down there I didn't want to see.
Don't try this at home. Thank you, Dick. Hang in there. We're going to do the weekly Daily Gizwiz in moments. Our weekly podcast featuring Dick and all his gadgets. And actually, I have a gadget I'm going to talk about. I'll talk about it on the show at some point, too. This is the new standard in Wi-Fi is coming. We had 802.11a, b, g, and n. N's the current. But 802.11ac is the next one. They've done so many, they're going into double letters, 802.11ac, and it's a gigabit Wi-Fi. And you know what? It actually works. I was very impressed. But we'll do that on the Weekly Daily Gizwiz later. Manny in Chicago, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Manny.
Hello, Leo. Thank you for taking my call.
Thanks for calling. What can I do for you?
Well, GRC. Okay, I use that website, a connection there called Shields Up to test my firewalls.
Yeah, my friend Steve Gibson did it. It's a great service. Hundreds of thousands of people have used Shields Up over the years.
Oh, yeah, I use it all the time. But here's my question, okay, because I got 4 laptops in my truck, and I get the same results just about every time because I'm always traveling all over the country. Does GRC test the servers, or does it test the actual firewall on your laptops or your computer?
What it's testing is that individual computer. So you're going to a website, grc.com, and running the code on that website. And what it does at that point is it pings you on every port. You can go through all the ports if you want, or you can go through the basic ports if you want, and sees if any of those ports are open. So it's a conversation between Steve's website at grc.com and your computer. And if your computer responds to any of the conversations it tries to have, then it says, oh, those ports are open and you're insecure. So your router may be blocking it because your router is between grc.com and your computer. So it is testing your router, but it's also testing your computer. It's testing the entire chain. And the only server you're talking to is Steve's server, is Shields Up. So this is a nice little service. I think Steve's done a good job. It's less important now than it was. He really, by doing this, he established a standard for how routers should behave. And now almost all the routers, I just got this new router from Buffalo, all the routers block all the ports. They do something Steve invented called stealth, which is not that the ports are blocked, but that the ports, and that's how bad guys get in, by the way, is through ports, that the ports are non-responding. They're stealth. They don't even say, I'm closed. They just don't respond. And that's kind of what you want. If a bad guy's testing your ports, which bad guys do from time to time, you don't want your computer to respond at all. So that's what it's testing. It's a great thing. It's a little bit less of a problem than it used to be. There are other ways bad guys get through, but it's certainly changed how router manufacturers think, and that's the good news. It did a great job. Hey, thanks for the call. I appreciate it. We were going to talk to David in Westchester about a keyboard case for his iPad. We're running out of time, but I do think that the new Logitech iPad keyboard that's coming out very soon, it's a Bluetooth keyboard that is a front on the case, is really slick, is really neat. It's called the Logitech Illuminated Ultra Thin Keyboard with backlighting. It'll be about $70 when it's available. No, that's not it. There's a bigger one. Stay tuned. We'll talk about it later. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. I'm Leo Laporte. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, the Tech Guy is just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows now on the TWiT Netcast Network, and you'll find them all at twit.tv. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPad on iPad Today. You get your daily dose of tech news from Tech News Today, and our weekly roundtable show, This Week in Tech. It's all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next time with another great Tech Guy podcast. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.